Hello and welcome back to GameSpot's coverage of E3 2013. You're watching Stage 2, the best stage. Sorry, Chris Waters, we've got to send Hand of Cool here. Brandon and Brett, you guys are going to have to entertain the hell out of this audience because thanks to the good people at, I don't know, who do we blame? No name in my ear.
It was the gods that did it. They frowned upon us.
The bandwidth. There's been bandwidth problems here, and obviously, Ascend Hand of Cool is an always-on. It's an online game, so we unfortunately don't have it. But this is a game that I saw this time last year on Stage 1 when it was called Ascend New Gods.
Yep.
So what happened? It's been a year, new name.
Yeah, we've got a whole facelift on the game since we were at the last E3, including the name.
Pity we can't show it.
Right. So yeah, imagine if you will, an incredible looking free-to-play XBLA game, and that's our game.
Also, you guys said you actually had a bit of trouble earlier in the Microsoft booth as well, like just in connectivity.
There's just not enough bandwidth to hold this show up. I think that's all.
It's just, I mean, even trying to get on your phone, everybody's trying to do it.
Yeah.
It's just
I'm having trouble
problems
on Twitter sometimes about just popping stuff on.
Yep.
Not that I'm checking Twitter when I'm.
Besides, I mean, how is this not entertaining right now?
I know, yeah, look at this stuff.
Better.
It's the best. So, elevator pitch. Ascend's got some really interesting mechanics. It's kind of shocking in a way, the way you prestige and Ascend people. So kind of explain to people what the sort of nuances in Ascend are that are different to.
It's a basic hack and slash ARPG at the start, but the stuff that makes it crazy or different or shocking, it's a couple things, I guess. One, it's a single currency free to play, so there's no like gems. You don't have to get stuck by hard currency, so to speak. You can grind your way all through the game. And also, what you're mentioning about prestiging, that's the real twist of the game, is when you ascend, you basically sacrifice your character, kind of destroy him in a way, and he turns into an AI boss that goes out into the world. All the other players have to fight him. Yeah, so you just do that over and over again.
Yeah, as you're going through the game and you're playing, you come across these different, we call them contention points. You have altars and villages, and you go in there and you take these things over, and they're little tiny humans, and they become your like little buddies. Like you can call them and you can send them into battle, and they're actually pretty vicious. It's really cool. But then later on, like if he ascended one of his characters, and he's like, say I'm a dark character and he's void, he'll go in and take my contention point. And then invade, and it's like the stronger you make your guy, the tougher they are to beat. So it's awesome. Like when you go out and one of your guys, you get a little report back, like one of your bosses went and invaded, like you took over Danny's shrine. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a total smack talk at that point. It's really cool.
Yeah, the beginning of the game is all very PvE. And the further you get in the game, the more the PvP becomes a component. It becomes like a big territory war, basically.
Awesome. Have the gods shined brightly on us?
They've smiled.
Oh my God.
They're showing footage. It's amazing. Low frame rate footage.
It's a trailer with a really bad frame rate. So they winked at us for a second.
Does Helmet really look that goofy?
I think you have it upside down.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe.
Let's talk about, because obviously people at home are trying to like paint a picture in their head about this. So just really base level, this is Xbox Live Arcade, PC, third-person perspective. Just kind of explain what...
Yeah, it's third-person. It's kind of like brutal, bloody fantasy. It's free to play on XBLA with your live account. And it's kind of like a really dark kind of Conan look to things. There's 3 different alignments, so you're not just good or evil. You're kind of either like sadistic, magical, or noble, sort of. And it's awesome. I think it really puts a fun spin on fantasy, which was sort of the challenge of making the game. It's like it's really easy to wind up with just more fantasy. Yeah. So it's fun to try to put like a dark edge on it, and then all the free-to-play stuff makes it much more interesting. And then our PvP is all asynchronous.
Sure.
Somewhat like Dark Souls, where you send buffs and debuffs into other people's game. So between all that, it kind of got a life and a personality all its own.
I mean, it's a total loot grind. I mean, it's like you can upgrade like your weapons, your armor, you get spells. I mean, you can... And so as you're upgrading and you're going through, I mean, it's like you get these runes and you can attach them. And you can use those either to increase your attacks or build resistance to the other.
All the ARPG staples.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's cool. Once you ascend too, it's like say you start off with the Dark God, and that's like more destructive. Like they're your weapons. You have fireballs that you can shoot out.
Screenshots.
I can switch alignments and then change that up, so I can start to mix and match. Like it's like I have light powers and light weapons and armor, and then I can switch that over and I combine it together. So it's like as you're building and you go deeper into the game, you build these characters that are even stronger and stronger.
So that's the interesting thing I think about the Ascension is that essentially it benefits you to have a really high character to ascend with, because then there's a higher chance of him owning all the other guys.
The longer you wait to prestige, the bigger the value of your Ascension.
Also, that's also like a killer, because you put all this time and effort into this dude, and then you're just gonna go, sorry, bro.
Yeah,
dead.
It's an interesting behavior to change in an ARPG player because you're more yourself. You're a meta being, and your characters are not quite disposable, but you work your way through many characters, and that's been the interesting part about creating this game is like not only getting used to it, but making it feel awesome and getting all the feedback that you need to be like, oh yeah, I just made another badass. He's out there kicking somebody's butt.
So do you as the meta being or whatever, you as the player who's using all these guys and then ascending them, do you level up in any way? Do you get more? Good question. Every time you ascend, you get like permanent buffs. Okay.
And then every subsequent guy you have will have those buffs. So you just get better and better and better as you go, and keep making more and more bosses for other people to have to deal with, basically.
And those are permanently attached to your gamer tag. You as the character,
cool.
not that chaos that you're sending out, but to you as the character. So, but it makes a huge difference. Oh, it makes a huge difference.
That wasn't
yeah, all right.
Looked like something else there for a second. Yeah.
No, it makes a huge difference when you send a guy out and then you watch somebody else in the office or one of your buddies fight him and defeat him. You're like, damn. It's like you actually spend more time and make that guy even stronger the next time going out.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, and the bosses that you send in the world will have your gamer tag above them.
Oh, cool.
So if and you can play with only friends in your world if you want. So if you're like, perpetually griefing people with your champions that you're creating, you still get the gloat power.
Yeah. So there's a lot of sort of community-focused stuff in it. Can you talk a bit about the Hall of Heroes as well, that whole aspect to it?
Oh yeah, this is one of the coolest things in the game, and something that people have been reacting to awesome is like the center of our game is called the Sanctum. It's sort of the hub where you choose your alignment and you kind of hang out, I guess you would say. And in the center of that space, we have these giant like animated characters, and those are the actual characters that are at the top of the leaderboards. So everybody else is kind of standing around going, hey, what are you doing tonight? Whatever. And they're like 100 feet tall, and it's you sitting there. And that is an awesome feeling. And then sort of all around the edges, we have like sort of sub-thrones, and we have leaderboards for everything. We have like a leaderboard for breakables and a leaderboard for like who's spent the most money, and, all this stuff. And you can actually see yourself. So we have like, I guess you could call them like visual leaderboards.
Sure.
And that has really turned out great. That whole thing just came together kind of smoothly and hasn't changed that much. It just feels right.
That's really cool, because it's not only are you trying to get on the leaderboard, but when you go in there and you see some other piece of armor or some weapon that you haven't seen before, and you're like, holy shit, what is that? It's like, that's badass. I want that. Yeah, it's really cool.
Is cussing against the rules on this show?
I don't care.
Did I curse? Oh.
So you guys,
that was awesome.
Are you close to release? Is there any chance of maybe Summer of Arcade or something? Like
we're looking into the Summer Arcade.
The official line is very, very soon. So we're about to start our closed beta, which we got a ton of people signed up at PAX East for closed beta, and they're like scratching at the door to get in and play with us. So I think we're very, very close to doing that, and then that's just going to flow right into getting it out to everybody. It'll be great to see everybody play this, finally.
You guys have a good relationship with Microsoft. Obviously, you've got a booth in there, in their booth. A booth in their booth, does that make sense?
Yeah, we have a booth in their booth.
Station,
yes.
there you go. That's the lingo. I want to know, because I've seen like nothing here. I spent like 5 minutes in there. I played Loco Cycle, and then they kicked me out. I've seen nothing. So you've got a good relationship. Obviously, there's an onus on free-to-play. We're hearing the World of Tanks is coming to Xbox 360 as well.
Yeah, Caesar is our producer at Microsoft, and he's been awesome. It's been quite a journey making this game, just because I think it's just not your usual fare. So just the journey of finding the sweet spot of this game has been, filled with all kinds of twists and turns. And I don't know, it'll just be awesome to finally see thousands rather than hundreds, just us basically testing the thing endlessly. It'll be really fun to see it get into the hands of a lot of people and see how we can change it and grow it. And since it's free, since it's XBLA, we can keep modifying it, changing it, adding it over time. So if we're lucky, if we do great, the thing's never going to end.
Awesome.
We'll just keep working on it.
No, and for not for this release, but for an upcoming release for the next round of the beta, I mean, we'll have weekly and monthly challenges. I mean, different events that we're going to push out there, all kinds of different things. Oh, is that better?
I like it.
Yeah.
Keep going. You break a stride.
Yeah.
No.
He doesn't know what
Yeah.
to.
So no, but I mean, so there is a huge community focus on that too. It's like we'll have an event where it's like, hey, this week, we want all the dark players to go out and take over this area, and the other two alignments, focus on defending that, and then whoever wins will, you give away some kind of either some currency or some kind of badass weapon or something really cool like that. Yeah.
So I gotta ask a question about Cool. Why the rename? I was looking at my sheet of the games that are coming onto the stage, and I was like, wait, Ascend? I was wasn't that called New? Did they release that and then do a sequel already? I don't think that came out.
I think upwards of 24 games had some combination of the word Ascension and God in them in the past 6 months. So in the sake of prudence, the Hand of Kull is basically like I don't know, a central story component in the game. It's this giant rock formation that's in the shape of the old god that's fallen. And it's interesting that became the title because at one point it was kind of a brain fart.
Yeah.
It was just like, hey, we should put some cool monument stuff in the game. Yeah, all right, I don't know, how about this? I drew this weird looking hand. Well, what are we going to do with that? I don't know, maybe it's like as big as a mountain. Hey, okay, great. And now it's the name of the game. So it's like, this is the kind of stuff that happens, So.
But it's cool though too because it ties directly in with the game. It's like for future releases, like now we can just do a tagline, and that kind of tips your hat at like what that part of the story or that next kind of evolution of the whole Ascension process and story.
Awesome. I just want to talk to you quickly about the microtransaction aspect of it. You said there's no like sort of duel, there's no like buffing in the area that way. So how exactly do microtransactions play?
Well, we've got like I was saying before, it's a single currency, so that's souls. So you can kill things and find chests and all this stuff. You can burn gear and earn souls that way. Or if you hit a challenge that's really hard or you just want to look cooler than your buddy, you can also just chuck Microsoft points at it and buy souls.
Cool.
But if you're super stingy like some free-to-play players are, technically you can play top to bottom the whole thing free. And I think it's a good model because we have a lot of faith in just the fun feel of throwing a few points at it.
Yeah.
And so we didn't want to put in any kind of actual barriers or like I was saying before, gems are kind of the joke word now for like, you're done playing unless you buy 8 gems. Thank you. So we don't do that.
No, we try to keep it really organic, like no real hard walls. I mean, there's a lot. You can upgrade every part of your character, there's so many different things you can do in the game, but you can grind to get those things. Another way that you can collect souls as a currency as well is, the more champions, the more chaos champions that you have out there and that you've ascended and they've taken over, the more that you actually own, the more currency that you get as a bonus.
Do they get souls from their actions?
Yeah, that's another way that you can grind or earn currency is for every territory you control, you get sort of an income. So when other players come along and take your territory, you're instantly like, what the hell, bro? I'm buying a new helmet every 20 minutes, man. I need my shrine back. That's my addiction in the game. It's like I just buy a helmet like every 10 minutes. I'm done with it. And then I turn around and I've spent like $15. And it's just like, and what do I have? I don't know. A chest full of helmets. So everybody's different with how they spend the currency in the game.
You just gave one away. You're going to have to get another one soon enough as well.
And it's a hack and slash, but there is a level of skill to it as well. Like there's combos, and the more combos that you get, it's a multiplier. So it's like the tougher the enemy, the more that you kill. It's a really good way to rack up, your souls really fast. But it does take skill. You got to block. You got to hack this guy. Jump over here, shoot a spell. Jump in and out.
Yeah, the faster, more frenetic you play the game, the better a soul earner you are. So the more you interact with the game, the harder you sort of push it. the faster you'll earn currency, the faster you'll progress, the cooler your gear looks. And, you know, basically the whole purpose of it, I mean, I think some players want to just get through the story and see the levels.
Sure.
But that leaderboard that we have at the beginning of the game it just drives you mad not being in those thrones. It just drives you mad, especially if it's your buddy sitting there. It's just like, screw this guy. No.
Is there one story, or with the different god alignments, does it vary or anything?
Right now, we just have like one big storyline.
Cool.
And then the 3 alignments just determine your magic type, your fighting type, your buffs that you get, and sort of your effect style and stuff like that. I would like to. We have actually alignment dungeons.
Okay.
That are specific to the alignments. It'd be cool as we sort of build the game out to build out alignment-specific storylines, so that just another reason to switch alignments over and over and keep, you know, digging out the holes of the game.
Is that the type of stuff that you could at least, you know, conceptually provide to the game down the line?
Yeah. We just need to not sleep for another year, and then everything will be fine.
Yeah,
you guys have been working on this, obviously a massive passion project. You guys have been working on this for a long time. How long have you been doing this?
We're a pretty small studio, and it's a large-scale console project. So thanks to the heroics of all the guys back there, we're getting it to market. But, you know, I think it's just going to, if we're awesome as we think we are, as we want to be, it'll just keep going. I mean, we want it to keep going, even though it's just like, dear God, why?
So
I want to go to sleep.
Out of your whole team, is it just the 2 of you who've had the chance to come up to E3, or you got some guys over at the booth?
Oh, there's 4 of us here, and I think the other 2 guys are, well, Logan's in there, I think, pushing screenshots around or something.
Have you had a chance to have a look at E3 at all?
Not too much.
Me more than him.
Yeah, I mean,
I wander around.
A little bit, but it's mainly been just showing the game and talking to people about it. So
Batman is really pissed off now. That's what I noticed. He is mad this time. What were we saying?
I was because I've watched live streams of E3 for years. I think I saw more of E3 sitting on my ass at like 4 a.m. in GMT than I actually do when I get here. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's more crowd swimming really than it is like game sampling. At PAX you can play everything, but here it's like everything is behind closed doors. You gotta wait in huge lines. And it's just like, screw the lines. So I just wander around with a hot dog and, like, I don't know, try to catch the movie.
Come talk to people like me. Well, guys, Brandon and Brett, thank you so much for coming over
thanks, Danny.
and talking about
thanks a lot. Thanks
for
having us.
Not at all. Loads more stuff coming up.
Go Signal.
Did you say Usain Bolt?
What's that?
Oh, I don't know.
I said go Signal.
We've got The Last of Us coming up, The Puppeteer, Blackguards, and then we're finishing up today with Arma 3 here on Stage 2, so stick around. We're going to have a look at some information from our friends at Samsung. Maybe not. Let's see.